See right there, Phil? That's like a pump. It goes right down to that thing there.
You can feel it. You can feel the pressure coming out.
Hey, what's going on here?
Hey, not too much. How you doing there,
Hey,
Jamie?
guys. How's it going?
Pretty good, you?
Good, good. Good
Hey,
to see you again,
you
Gary.
too, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You bet.
who's your friend here?
That's Mr. Phil Berlinski. Capital
Phil.
P for Phil.
Phil,
You
it's
know?
a pleasure to meet you, Phil.
He's my younger brother.
Oh, really?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, brother's a brother, right? Nice.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Nobody's ever said younger brother.
Yeah. No, we're just fiddle farting around trying to get this thing going.
Oh,
An old
excellent.
quad that I
Yeah.
picked up from the son-in-law, you know, so it's been sitting for 10 years. So
Nice.
we got her turning over, but it needs gas, and I don't.
So you got a habit of reviving a thing, breathing new life into old machines?
Oh yeah, you bet.
Nice.
As you can see, you know, I got junk. There's an old old saw I got there.
Oh,
That's a mill, eh?
Yeah, nice.
So you put
Oh,
a
yeah,
chainsaw
yeah.
on that thing, and that's another one of my projects. I got lots of projects.
Excellent. That's good.
There's never a dull moment around here, you know. So.
So me and Gary met at work. Actually, I went back to work at a local pulp mill here, and I just kind of seen an ad in the Indeed, and I thought, hey, why not? I'll go for a shutdown for a couple weeks. And to my amazement, I was actually partnered up with a whole bunch of other retirees. Every single one of us are retired. So we got Gary here, of course. We got Ed, we got Rob, and we got Kemper. And it was such a pleasure actually working with every single one of them. When everybody's so crafted and seasoned in their trade, it's like everything is just seamless. Like nobody's got to explain what to do. We just go and do the job, and everybody jumps on the next thing that needs to be done. There's no egos and all that stuff. It's just workmanship, and we had a great time, didn't we,
Actually,
Gary?
it was lots of fun. You know, like camaraderie is just unbelievable. You got 5 guys together with 40 plus years experience, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of knowledge there. You know, it's going around, and I don't know, just meet new friends. I've done that shutdown. That's the 6th time I've done it. So every time I've met some new people, and this group especially was a very tight group. You know,
Yeah.
everybody get along. Usually you have somebody in that you don't really.
There's always that one guy.
Yeah, in this group we didn't. Everything was good. So it was just everybody was just they hit it off right off the bat, which was good, which made the experience a lot better.
It was, yeah, well, just a fantastic time.
Yeah, so.
And during the course of that time, we had a couple of things I was explaining to the guys about my YouTube channel, and kind of give them a little bit of motivational talks as well during our lunchroom chats, just to kind of initiate and to do things, make the plans and all that. It's actually Kemper came up to me the day after. He joined us a little bit late, but he said, I was listening to you the other day and went home and I booked the sturgeon fishing trip, and I was just like, oh man, it was just that was just music to my ears. I just love to hear stuff like that, and we just want to make good use of our time in retirement. You know, it's so important. And Gary had told me that he's been working on a project here for quite some time with his good friend here, and that he was willing to share with us what exactly that was. So we'll just have a little bit of a chat here, and then we'll go and take a look at the project. Let's just ask Gary to tell us a little bit about himself. What's your background, how long you've been retired, and what you're up to now?
I've been retired for since 2016. Spent most of my years working in the mining industry as a millwright. And actually where I met my best friend Phil was working at the mine, the Highland Valley Copper. So we've remained friends throughout. He retired back in 2003, eh, Phil?
Yeah.
So we've been tinkering around doing stuff together, and he was kind of one of my guys that got me motivated on getting this Model A going. Without him, I probably wouldn't even got this far. So
Oh yeah.
between, it was the Model A was in my dad's garage for years and stuff like that. And we kind of just, hey, let's get this thing going type thing. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
and that's kind of where we're at. So I don't know, I'm retired, like I said, in 2016, but still doing shutdowns and stuff like that. But just busy, keep busy all the time. You know.
Nice, nice.
But, yeah.
So I was going to ask you, like, how you came across the car. These aren't things that you see every day. So.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story. So that car, in 1967, my dad bought it. It was sitting in a field in North Kamloops, and sitting there for years. And he was a railroader, so he bought the car for $250. Back in those days, like $250 was a lot of money.
Bucks, yeah.
So when I got like 5 brothers, they drove that car home, actually.
Wow.
And then it was parked in my dad's garage. My dad was never a mechanical guy. He was a woodworking fella, right? So, and it sat in the garage for years and years and years. And then he just said, he decided he was going to give it to one of the boys. And he just went down the list from the oldest to, and it came to me, and I went, absolutely. So,
right on.
and I towed it around for quite a few years. And, you know, I never, you know, through thick or thin, bad times, good times, never ever thought of getting rid of the car, even, you know, when the, you know, times are tough, and I never classified it as money, and I never have and never will. You know, it's just something that I've always wanted to just redo in memory of my dad, right? So,
that's nice.
And that's what Phil knows my dad quite well. He's actually, my dad told Phil, make sure you look after this guy when I'm gone. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
Full-time job. He's looking after my son when I'm gone.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that for you.
So this is Phil. This is Phil. Yeah.
Full-time job, yeah. We've been friends for probably 30, 35 years, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've been retired. But you said 2003.
Yeah.
I've been retired. I've been gone 22 years from the mine.
Yeah. Well, that's when I bought the bike in 2003.
Wow.
I remember I bought the brand new
Hard to
bike.
believe.
Let him ride it for his retirement, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm 55.
You're 55 now? You've been already like 20 years old when you retired. That's great.
Tell him your true age.
82.
82.
82. Holy mackerel, you look great for 82.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Took a lot of work.
Took a lot of putting up with this guy.
There you go, yeah.
Making sure he's taken care of.
I could write a book on this guy.
Right on.
For sure.
Right on. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Phil.
Well, I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario.
Oh.
I moved out here in '79 and started working at Highland Valley. And went 25 years in there and retired, like I say, 23 years ago. And got tied up with Gary up at the mine there, and we both had the same kind of things in common, motorcycles and cars and stuff like that. And just turned into be a good friendship. And we've just been friends ever since. And the only sad part is that I always get the hard jobs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You think you could get down there and get that little thing there? Yeah. Well, I go do something.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got. I'll be back in a minute.
Be the guy.
Yeah.
I gotta run downtown.
But
actually, Gary was pulling that with us as well when we were working together. I got one of those at home. I'll be back in a couple hours if you guys need this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, that sounds like a great start to a friendship. Obviously, still going on after all this time, and it's great to see it after work as well. You know, carry on. And I've got a couple friendships like that outside of work as well. And like we spend so much time with each other at work, we become like second family.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
You spend probably more time at work. So, you know, back in the day, you working 12-hour shifts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're with your guys at work more than you're at home because you go home and sleep. So you work long hours and stuff like that. But we always manage to keep ourselves busy doing stuff, you know, fixing cars or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what motivated you to get Gary going on this car?
His father.
Yeah. So you knew his dad.
Oh yeah. His dad told me, he says, Phil, when I'm gone, he says, you have to do me a big favor. So what's that? He says, you have to look after Gary. Keep an eye on him. Get him out of trouble. Don't let him don't let him get all caught up in all that stuff. So I said, no problem. But, you know, I didn't know it was going to be a full-time job.
Well, you got to understand there's probably a reason that he's asking that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the reasons why this particular car was chosen. Have you actually done any other car restoration before?
No, this was the first one that I ever did. You know, and I gained some very valuable experience
Yeah,
over
no
the
kidding.
course of it. That I would do it all over differently. Is some of it, right? So,
Yeah, we'd have somebody else come and do it for us.
no,
Absolutely.
no, just little stuff that you know. As we got into it, and actually, I rushed too much to get it painted. You know,
Okay.
I was in a big rush, not rush, but I had a friend that, you know, was going to paint it. So I got it stripped down, took it out to him, and I should have done a lot of little things to the car before I got it painted, like certain bolts that had to be changed, these D nuts and stuff like that. You know, so
Right.
after the car was painted, then some of that stuff, it should have been done before that. But you know, it turned out pretty good considering.
So how long ago did you actually start this project?
Well, probably, I'm thinking probably at least probably 15 years ago, eh?
Okay.
Longer than that. I've been retired 20 years.
Okay, so 20 years, I guess. 20 years?
Oh, I've been longer than that.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Because I never started that Model A when I had that bike. I always go back to the when I
When you bought that bike?
was, and I only lived in this house since 2000. So I never started redoing that car till I had this shop, right? And then we actually met this other guy. His name John McPherson. Phil knew him, and we called him Model A John.
Oh.
And he had a completed 1928 Model A.
Wow.
So he come over here and he started looking at it. So he was involved in it lots in the beginning because we had his Model A and beside this one.
Oh, we'd go out in this model, take a part off it, bring it in the shop, and put it on ours.
Because we got it because we got it running.
You're trying to see if it fits or
Exactly.
if-
We
wow.
actually got it running before I took it apart. Like, you know, and there's lots of the thing that's sitting for, you know, since '67.
Yeah.
But it actually got it fired up and actually fired it up in the shop. And, you know, Phil was holding the gas, a gas can like this with a siphon and a gas
Oh,
into
yeah.
the engine, and we
Yeah.
fired it up, and would take the starter out of John's and get it in, and we got it fired up. It was like,
was
you know,
good
then it was just like, yahoo, we got it
Yeah.
running. It was just like that. Then we ended up having a little fire in the shop because, you know, the gas, the thing backfired or something. You know, the gas on the ground. We're all running around, but yeah. So, you know, it probably, you know, I would say like Phil says, probably 18 years, 20 years to be fair. You know,
That's a dedicated
you know,
project.
but you know, the thing too is it is more of a winter thing for me.
Okay.
It is a winter, you know, when I was working I worked on it lots, but it kind of lost my way with it for a while. I lost interest in it. And it became quite overwhelming when I got to certain points about the car, especially the roof
Right.
part of it, which, you know, you get going on something and you have no experience, and there's hardly any people around anymore that do that stuff. So you start working on it, you hit a roadblock and kind of lose interest. And I started working on Harleys, and
Right.
so in all fairness, I never actually worked on it for 20 years. It sat probably for 5 years.
It's been a project for
It's been a
for
project,
20,
so up
20
and-
years.
up and down.
Yeah.
We come out here to work on the truck.
Yeah.
I've been on the car, and we do about 6 hours of bench racing.
Hey, there you go.
That's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
we got a lot done.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the thing with it too is sourcing parts and stuff
Oh, I
like
can't
that.
imagine.
You know, and there was a place in Edmonton that actually sold. You could get all the parts you wanted, reproduction parts. You had some access, so they shut down. After he shut down, it was like, you know,
Wow.
and just the parts book that I got from him, I was able to,
Oh yeah.
you know, because a lot of the screws and bolts.
Yeah,
had to
wait,
be,
what's the part number for this?
Yeah,
It's not like you can
there's-
go down
you
to
know,
Ford and just pick one
You
up.
know, I can
right?
go on like, you know, as we're working on the car. Well, maybe we should go in there and we'll talk about the car. But as we're working on the car, you know, certain things you look at is like, why would they do that like that?
Well, that's
But
like today.
But you got to think, back then
Yeah.
they didn't know better.
True. That's
you know,
true.
we see now, but you know, I'm thinking back then. Then you got to realize, hey, this is the first car that ever went into production.
That's right. Yeah.
So, you know, it was actually quite ingenious, some of the stuff they did.
Right.
But, you know, you're relating it to stuff now. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of silly. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like the roof. Why would they put a wooden roof, like a vinyl roof on it? Why wouldn't they? But they couldn't form steel back then, you know, like, And like in the 28, you know, they went from 28, you know, the Model T, and then the 28, everything was kind of boxed as they went each year. They kind of fixed stuff up, like, you know, the way they were built to make the parts, instead everything wasn't square, they were really round stuff. And
Oh yeah, wow.
you know, like in 1928, they had this car here is what they call an AR car, is our RA car, is like a research and development. A lot of this stuff that's on this car, because one of the early model ones never actually made it into production. You know, some of the stuff, the early stuff, like the brake system and stuff is just,
You're doing the old Fred Flintstone.
well, that's it. You know, like if
I
you seen the movies when they're going down the road and all of a sudden Model A just spins around in a circle. It's because they couldn't get the brakes to all work at the same time, because they had like a mechanical brake, so there's an arm going across like this with 4 rods on it.
Wow.
2 rods go to the front, 2 rods go to the back. And then another rod goes to the foot pedal. So all those rods have connecting pins, right?
Right.
And the whole brake rod is attached to the bottom of the frame. No bushing or nothing, just a round shaft with a, you know, up there. So it's like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So they went, hey, that didn't work. Let's get
pretty
rid of that.
sketchy,
Let's
eh?
put a solid shaft in and get rid of a lot of these connections. And, you know, and just stuff like that.
Wow.
It evolved, right? And that was all on that car. It's like,
Yeah.
you know.
So I guess your millwrighting aptitudes kind of helped you get a lot of this done as well.
Because a lot of stuff, you know, it's just all mechanical stuff. Like, and we'll show you when we get on and start looking at the car, some of the stuff that's pretty ingenious, how they've done it.
Yeah.
And the reasons why they've done it, right? So, but.
All right, so we're gonna go in and check out what's been taken
Come and have a look.
all these years. So
That's right.
follow Gary in.
There she
Wow,
is.
that's a beauty.
Yeah.
Look at that, eh?
It's not a stock color. It's done in something a little custom. It's we decided to do it in Harley-Davidson orange.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Black, meaning the Harley-Davidson, you know, Harley-Davidson and Harley type thing.
Yeah,
So
nice.
and Harley-Davidson Ford. So I don't know. It just came to, you know, let's do it in orange and black. And the funny thing about the whole thing is, after we've decided, like between me and Phil, say, hey, you know, let's do this Harley-Davidson orange and black.
You had a say in this, Phil? Color?
Oh, I did so.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
Gary was sitting in a chair over here, and I said, I just want you to sit here, don't move. And I walked over to the car, and I said, I'll picture this. We got black fenders, black running board. We're gonna have a black top. We're gonna tint the windows out black. Picture the color, Gary. I want you to picture this. Harley-Davidson orange. Well, that was it. That was it.
That was it, eh?
Yeah.
It just worked for us.
Nice.
And then
Very cool.
the funny thing about it is, I had found some old license plates in my dad's garage. 1928 license plate. And we got them after we decided what color to paint it, because we had sold the house. And if you look on the wall there, you'll see the license plates.
Oh,
They're
check
orange
it
and
out.
black.
Oh, no way.
You know, so it was just kind of,
Wow. Look at
and
that.
that is after we decided to paint it orange and black, right?
That's pretty cool.
You know, so.
Because I guess back then they only had one color, probably, right?
Well, they had,
look at this.
They had a couple different kinds of colors, yeah. So we had that made out of a print shop. So, but yeah, so that's how the, you know, being both of us both ride Harleys and stuff. And we just thought, you know, what kind of, I want to keep it stock, you know, the engine stock. Lots of people say, hey, you should chop it and put a Hemi. And I said, no, I want to keep it original.
Nice.
But we thought, let's do a little custom original, you know, keep it original body wise, but paint it so it does stand out. And that was like, Phil had a lot to do with that, you know.
Right.
You know, it's
That's
his
awesome.
idea, but you know,
That's nice. Yeah.
and I think it was a very, very good choice. So, you know, the whole
It looks
thing,
great. It looks really,
This-
really.
it was
classy.
basically, this car was red and black, and it had been painted with a paintbrush,
Oh,
red paint, but some heavy duty marine paint. But this whole car, believe it or not, there was no rust in it. The
Wow.
body, these
when
are
you
all,
got it, really?
There's all the original parts in it. The only rust we had was under one of these fender walls in here.
Right.
And that was just a little bit of surface rust.
Right.
But every panel is stock, completely stock.
Well, that's helpful.
That's right. And it had
That's
the
really
original
helpful.
glass windows in it. Everything was original in that car. Basically, like I said, I didn't have to replace any of the metal panels, right?
Wow.
So you can find these in plastic, eh?
Oh yeah.
And fiberglass.
Yeah, fiberglass. But these are all steel.
Oh, nice.
Everything, same as the wheels. Everything's 100% stock. You know, some of the smaller components, electrical components and stuff like that, I had to go and buy them aftermarket because they were just really hard to source out, and a lot of that stuff is very expensive. So, but trying to find the parts is hard to find, right? So,
was there any clubs or anything that you could kind of?
well, there's lots of that stuff in the States. Like they're very popular in the States. There's the odd one here, but a lot of the people like there's the old car club and stuff like that. But a lot of the older people in there weren't really into doing Model A's. A lot of people, I tried finding people, but I didn't.
Well, that fellow that we went out to see out there in Dallas, that old guy out there, he said the people nowadays, he said, the ones that used to work on these things, they're all dead, he said. They're gone. There's nobody here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nobody worked, and even him, he wouldn't even help us with it.
Yeah.
Really?
He said no.
So we're trying to find somebody to help us with the roof. We're real struggling with the roof.
Oh, I
right?
see. Yeah.
But it's, but yeah.
So why is there an issue with the roof?
Well, I just wasn't
Oh,
sure
you said
how
it was wood or something.
Yeah. So if you look at the wood, the wood it has wood rafters on it. So I did buy that wood kit for it.
Right.
But then there's, this mesh goes on top.
Right.
And the mesh goes on top and the foam goes on top of that. But just trying to find the proper way of doing, seeing videos, they say use chicken wire and spread the chicken wire. So we tried that and it didn't work, ended with ripples. So we came, this day and age, you can, was at this expanded metal, and this is just something me and Phil started last week.
Right.
We decided to go with this expanded metal because it holds it proper. You know what I mean? Like it just holds the form. It doesn't have the
shape.
dips in it, right? Yeah. So, and the chicken wire, just little stuff like that. Just trying to, you read it in a book, but it's nice to have somebody come and actually show you because you don't know. I find myself questioning myself lots about, is this right? And I don't want to do this because I'm going to wreck it because I can't get that wood again. Because I bought that wood kit, it's a kit you buy and they're just hard to find because there's wood all through it. I mean, wood frame right here, all the doors have wood in it. Up here is all wood. All there, that's basically what holds the structure of it. It's all that wood and, wooden floors and stuff like that. So we've done, a couple of different things. We've put that soundproofing on it just to kind of, you won't see that. And trying to find a seat for it. Well, that seat there is out of an old tracker.
Oh, really?
The rear seat of a tracker.
Oh, yeah.
This is so narrow.
Yeah, it's
that
small,
you can't find seat, and then try to get the springs and stuff. And I talked to a guy in a car, and I had a Model A in a car show.
Right.
And he actually said, I just used that. He said, the Volkswagen seats.
Really?
Back seat of the Volkswagen fits in there perfect.
No
I couldn't
way.
find one that my neighbor down here had a tracker. I said, can you measure that seat? He goes, yeah. I said, that'll fit perfect in my Model A. And about a year later, he says, hey, Gary, you want that seat? So
really?
that's where I got the seat, right?
Awesome.
So,
well, that's helpful.
And then, of course, the front seats they're getting upholstered right now. They're not the original seats either, but they're really cool. I don't know what they're out of, but they're bucket seats and stuff. So, but their dash, I had that re-chromed. Actually, that's not the stock color, but I had it re-chromed. But now there's lots of interesting stuff in this Model A, like it's got a flathead 4 engine. If you look at the engine,
Take a look.
So flathead 4, right?
Wow.
There's
so simple, eh?
Yeah, simple, very simple. Gravity feed carburetor, right?
Nice.
The spark plug, like the crankshaft and stuff, and the connecting rods in it are all Babbitt bearings. Right. So in the bottom of when you put the crank together, there's shims in there. So as the Babbitt wears out, back in the day, what they do instead of changing the whole bearing, they just climb under there and pull a shim out and tighten up your bearing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So in these cars, like you'd find back in the old days, the farmers and stuff, you'd find tin cans and all sorts of stuff they used for because they didn't have the shims, or if they were adding shims or taking shims out. So you'd find that. But we were fortunate enough to actually get the thing running, but the Babbitt was wore out. But there was a German fella in Kelowna. that actually
Right.
did these engines, did the rebabbit the crank and rebabbit the connecting rod. So he did all that for me and bored it and stuff like that. So,
Very cool.
you know, it's got the old water pump here that you know, with the packing on it.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, the
Tighten
pumps that we
packing.
work on, same type
Unreal.
of thing, you know. So
Yeah.
as you know, cools the pump, there's packing and there's just like a pump packing now. And then, if you look at this thing, everything's mechanical. Like you'll see this, for instance, right here. So the steering, this is the gas tank, right? That's your gas tank. So of course
like
you
my
can't,
dozer.
you can't, well, you know, you can't have anything, you know, screwed into the gas tank
Sure.
because that's kind of your dash too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So everything comes basically down here through the steering arm. So if you look here, you see this arm goes up here and this goes to the distributor. So it's one of the things that you do when you go to start this thing, you got to move the distributor. If you watch here, I'll move that distributor for you. You'll see,
Oh yeah.
right?
Look at that.
So that's,
Wow.
'cause that's part of the starting procedure of this thing,
Really?
right? So
And probably manual choke and all that stuff, right?
I'll show you that. So that's that. And then if you look
I'll go to the
over
other
here and you watch at the carburetor over here, you see this arm that goes across here, this one, goes there, goes over and comes over to the carburetor.
What the
So that's
heck?
also hooked up to the steering wheel.
Look at that.
So watch this. As I do this,
See how the arm opens
Yeah.
back there?
Isn't that something? Eh? Wow.
yeah. It was just because the starting procedure
That's
on
wild.
these things requires more than your feet. You need your two hands and stuff like that because
Right.
the actual starter, now if you look here, the starter comes down. Back in the old days, they never had, you know, the solenoids and stuff they do now. So it's push button. It's by your foot. This is disconnected, but this goes in here.
Right.
And actually, you gauge the starter, just pushes down, makes a connection in
Oh
there.
geez.
So that's done with your foot inside the vehicle.
Wow.
So you need to have your foot on that, of course, you know, to start it. So then you set everything, you know, you'll set your advance. You come in here, if you have a look at this, and you'll see on the dash here, you'll set your spark advance. So they say to set it like 4 clicks, right? Then you'll set the throttle at a couple clicks.
Right.
Then over there, you'll see underneath there, you'll see the choke.
Choke. Yeah.
So you pull that out. You got to pull it out and turn it to the, you know, turn it and kind of lock it in. Then you hit the starter and fire it up. So
Wow.
once you start firing up, then you slowly ease that throttle, the choke out. Then you can kind of idle the timing off of this. And
Right.
then you're good to go. And then you do have the regular gas pedal, right?
What is this for?
That's your emergency brake cable.
That's your emergency brake cable.
So that basically goes back. So it's just an arm that goes back. So the emergency in the brake drums on the back, they actually have a separate drum inside there.
Right.
And that is the emergency brake. Right.
Really?
And so it's completely different from that, but there's two sets of shoes in there. So
Oh wow. Interesting.
and that's so that's basically the starting procedure. And this here horn, this is your horn. If you look down here and this is your light switch. This is how you turn your lights on.
All right.
So if you look down the bottom of the steering column right here, see right here, there's a switch that goes on here.
Right.
Now if you watch this, I'll turn the lights on, you'll see it move. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Oh yeah.
That's how you turn the lights on. That's your horn switch goes through that. So all the starting stuff goes through there, right?
That's cool. Really cool.
Like the actual brakes on these things too is it's really unique how they work. Because actually it's hard to see, but if you look up through here, I might be able to see in here. No, but it's if you see. So here's your brake rod here, right?
Oh yeah.
So that brake rod comes in here. There's actually a rod that goes down through here and pushes on a wedge pin. So what it does, the rod pushes down, pushes the wedge pin out. So the wedge pin will actually spread the brakes. So most of the brakes, contact of the brake is just back in this area here, right?
Right.
But and all this stuff, you know, it's just all these little pins in here. If you get too much slack in them, so what we do is drill them all out and put oversized pins in them. So because you want everything tight, eh?
So it looks like you might have to actually throw your entire wheel out if your drums wear out.
No, the drums come off just like a regular drum.
Okay. So they
come off.
so you can replace the
yeah.
parts.
These are the backing plates, and holds your brake shoes and stuff like that, right? So, and then
So does that crank work as well?
Yeah. So you can crank it or
electric
you can
start.
do the electric start. So you can crank it over and fire it up. Obviously, if your battery goes dead, you can fire it up.
Nice.
It's not easy to crank though. It's
Oh yeah, it's got some good compression.
yeah.
Nice.
You can actually start it. I haven't tried
Oh,
starting it with the crank. I've just used
I
it.
leave that for the younger guys. It's time to hit the button. That's complicated enough.
Yeah, of course, they got air conditioning too. This year.
Yeah, I seen that. This was good. The air conditioning model.
Window slides open,
love
right?
that.
So you can get some air in there.
Yeah.
Shut her down, right? So
They kept that style for a long time with the windows here on the side, right?
yeah, exactly. So, and they had, there's lots of, when you bought these things back in the early days, a lot of this information, I just got from people or whatever.
Yeah.
Reading books and stuff like that. But they actually had if you want to modify it, they actually had a manifold that went over here. The unit that went over top of the manifold thing here, and it went in through there.
That was your heater.
That was your heater.
Oh, geez.
So the fan would blow the heat
Wow.
through there.
No
Well, they
kidding.
came with Model A blankets and stuff like that for
Yeah.
winter because that's the only heat they ever had in them.
Wow.
And lots of things too, like if you
That's interesting.
like the rear end oil in here, the oil that goes in the rear end is 120 weight oil.
120.
Yeah, because they didn't have the seals back in those days. Right, to
Wow.
make the
So
proper
they couldn't
seals.
have it leaking out.
So
They
you
had to
see
make
them
it
in the
thick
old
enough.
days, and they got a little wood, fire going on at the rear end. Was
No
just get
kidding.
them, so the thing would
Holy.
So just stuff like that, right? Just very interesting stuff that, like you say, you wonder what the heck, why did they do it like that? But the whole thing is it's very, very interesting. And the whole body itself sits on wooden blocks and stuff. It's mounted on wooden blocks and rubber and like this stuff here. We had to put all this stuff in. I never knew how to do it. We did it by hand. It all fits in there. It was just like tedious, long, hard stuff to do, and trying to find different ways of doing it. Just all that stuff. So
Spare tire carrier back here, I guess.
And then
There's your differential here with the 120 weight oil.
yeah, exactly. So you see the leaf springs are opposite to what
Right. Right.
I don't have the shocks for it. They had some type of a shock system on it, but I think I have one on there, but I don't have the proper shocks for it. So, but I don't. Just kind of focused on that's the original old tail light. No blinkers, of course, just the brake light.
Just the lights, yeah.
So, and then
That's very cool.
It's got the generator for your.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's
Seen that for a while.
Powers your lights, right? So.
My dozer's got a generator.
Oh yeah. I remember the old Harleys all had generators and stuff in them. You can see the wooden blocks under the frame. Everything sits on wooden blocks and rubber pads and stuff like that. So I said lots of stuff here that we learned that we did. Should have done a lot of stuff before we actually painted it. But it's been an experience. But it's been quite a ride so far. So we're getting close. We're hopefully. Phil keeps bugging me, you got to get that thing going before he, goes and meets the maker here. So he threatened me last time. He said, well, maybe I'll just put that in the back of a flat deck trailer. He says, you can drive me around town in it.
Well, that's one way.
So
It's not the only ride I'm going to get it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we're close. Like I said, it's, it does run, but I don't.
We like to have it ready for hot August nights this year if we could.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be great, eh?
Yeah, so,
If we just get the roof,
Get that little push.
get that dialed in, get the seats in it, then
yeah.
we can take it down there.
Or you could have it as a convertible.
Yeah.
Put a nice glass top on it. With a,
Yeah. That's the thing is just, little stuff. And, you go to a upholstery shop and stuff and they want a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money
Yeah.
to do stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
And, it's like, they've never done one before, so they're telling you, well, you know, it's could take this, you know, might take me 2 days or 3 days. Well,
Yeah.
you don't have that budget, right? So,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
yes,
I mean, that's an obvious hindrance too to getting something done too quick. You gotta kind of save your pennies as you go along and
that's right. Yeah,
buying
exactly.
parts and researching parts and
Yeah.
fixing what you can, and you just do it
Exactly.
do what you can.
If you look up here, you'll see that old Model A lubrication chart.
Oh yeah.
That's all the grease stuff, you know. I had grease nipples everywhere on those things back in those
I've
days.
noticed that down at the front end. I thought, wow, they don't even do that now.
No, everything's mechanical, right? So they had to. But yeah, so yeah, it's
Nice.
pretty. This here thing is aftermarket. This one here. Mm-hmm. But,
Looks good though.
That looks good. Yeah, I do have the original one someplace kicking around here, but just stuff like that. It's just try to keep as much original as we could, right? So.
Well, I think you'd be doing your dad pretty proud.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think he'd be just smiling.
That's kind of my motivation. I would like to do it, and of course, you know, Phil. I want to get done for Phil too.
Yeah.
Above all, right? The two of us. So
You got a buddy that's helped you out
yeah,
so much and so much time, and the friendship and the camaraderie. And,
I could.
Nice to get a ride around the block.
Hey, I could give him a
one
ride.
way or another is getting a
Hey,
ride.
he'll get a ride in one another. He might be in a box, but he's getting a ride.
Oh, you're too good to me.
He always tells.
What's a buddy for, right?
He always tells Phil, says, "Hey, you can't paint luggage racks on that thing. You can't take that money with you, you know, when you go."
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, but yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun times doing it. Like,
Good.
you know, in the shop, spending days in the shop. I remember when we first started working on it. You know,
Yeah.
when we got it running. You know, that we were here for like 9 o'clock in the morning till like 9, 10 o'clock at night. Don't even coming out.
Yeah, it just
My
flies,
youngest,
right?
you know, my youngest daughter said, "Gary's been in that. He hasn't come to that shop all day." But yeah, so, but yeah, it turned out good though. Lots of work, but it's like I said, that thing was all, you know, I had lots to work with when I began.
Yeah,
when I
if
began,
it
right?
not,
So,
yeah, it
whereas
could have
the-
been a lot worse.
yeah.
Yeah.
This sat in my dad's garage, and we played it when we were kids. You know, for
Oh, yeah.
you know, 67, I would have been 9 years old, right? So, but it is, you know, hobbies. This type of hobby is expensive, but I mean, it's, you know, you don't have to do it all at once. You buy a little bit here, a little bit there. You know how it works,
Exactly.
right? So,
Yeah.
if you get somebody to do it, I think myself, it's not about money.
Yeah.
It's not about money. It's,
Yeah.
I could probably buy that car for cheaper than I got into it, but that's
for sure.
not the point.
Yeah.
Right. The
Yeah.
point is that you rebuilt it and you
That's
did it all
right.
yourself. So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of money involved. But I had, you know, some friends that painted for me and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So there's always that. There's always the barter and trader. You know,
Yeah,
that's
nice.
what I like to do.
That's a
But
good thing,
like I
yeah.
said, nowadays, you know, everything is so expensive. But you know,
Yeah.
it's just what it is. Right? So,
Yeah.
but
Okay. So just to follow up, I want to ask you if you had any advice for any retirees that are kind of thinking of, they're on the verge of retiring, or maybe they're young retirees, like even Rob, right? He's only out of vacation. He's only been retired for 3 weeks now, and whatnot. Is there any bit of advice that you might be able to?
Well, I think my advice would be to try to find something before you retire. Have an idea. Just find something to do. Just don't stay at home and sit on the couch, because I have friends of mine that do that, but they, you know, they wish they'd have done this and wished. I mean, you got to just get out and try stuff. And
Yeah.
I think the more things you try, you find something you like to do.
Yeah.
I just think myself, you're better off to have a hobby, you know, whether it's fishing or skiing or whatever. You even just going for a walk or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you need to find something that you like, and if you like it, go try it. Do
to
it. Something that you've always thought about, just go and try it. I mean,
Yeah. There you go.
and you know what? Whatever. You know, if it costs you, don't let money stop you, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
like my friend Phil says, you can't take that money with you. You can put it in a bank account, look at it all day, spend the son of a bitch, go have some
Yeah.
fun.
Spend the last dollar on your last day.
That's
what I
right.
always
You know what I
say,
mean?
right?
If it costs you, if you want to buy an old car and you know, you want to fix it up as you want to do, just go do it.
Yeah.
You know, what the heck?
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to
Good
sell
for
the
you.
car and make the money back anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't let money stop you. I don't think everything, some stuff costs money, stuff doesn't cost, you know, whatever you want, you can just do it. I think you got to be motivated and
Yeah.
motivate yourself, because you can just get into a rut, I think.
Yeah.
After working, we're so programmed to work. I mean, after
That's all
you
we
finish
know.
working, that's all you know. And I had the same problem. I kept working, and, I still do shutdowns. I like to get out and do those shutdowns, but,
Yeah.
some people won't do that, but, just find something that you
Yeah.
like to do
Yeah.
and do it.
Yeah, to help kill the time.
Yeah.
Gives you a little extra money for
Yeah,
little things here and there,
exactly.
and gets you active and
Yeah,
exercise.
and you meet people, like, you get out the shutdown.
Yeah.
I met you. How did I
Right.
meet you? I
Yeah,
never
this
met
is
you
such
in
a great.
million
All of
years.
us are the
That's
same,
right.
right?
So it's not saying you have to go and do shutdowns, but you just find something to do. And
Yeah.
I don't. I think you look at my friend Phil, like he's 82,
Yeah.
but he's busy all the time. He's helping people. He'll help. Just doing that stuff. Overworking the car, and he's over helping people do this and stuff like that. So you keep yourself moving.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think is the main thing.
Good. I like that.
So-
I like that. So one of the, we were talking a lot in the lunchroom when I was working with Gary, and got to know a little bit about what Gary does, but I never really learned what drives him. Gary is as tough as they come. Like he's a rugged guy, like I am, and you're not old by any means.
You're only old as you feel.
You're as old as you feel. So, but like myself, Gary's got some injury that is not actually preventing him from swimming regularly, skiing regularly in the season. And I just like to ask you, what kind of drives you to do that?
I just am a firm believer that you got to keep active. You got to keep active, and I mean, if you want to be healthy and live longer, I think you just got to be active, and that all comes mainly from my accident. When I was in the workplace accident, I started swimming, and
Right.
I was bound and determined when I was injured. The first thing I thought, because skiing and hockey were I loved it, right? So
Right.
first thing I said to the doctor was like, "Am I going to be able to ski again?" He said, "Well, Gary, you got a lot of things to worry about before you worry about skiing." So,
Right.
but anyways, after when I was hurt, I got into a swimming program. When I was getting rehabilitated, and I
Right.
was able to get into the pool and start swimming and just exercising before they even wanted me to start that. So I was ahead of the game, and
Nice.
I just because I said to myself, I'm not going to let some bureaucracy like WorkSafe. I'm not going to rely on them the rest of my life.
Yeah, this is about me.
This is about me,
Right
and it's
now.
about
Yeah,
me getting better. I'm not going to be sitting at home feeling
for
sorry
you.
for myself
Nice.
and waiting for the check to come in.
Yeah.
I'm going to get better
Perfect.
because I need to look after me.
Yeah.
And so that's really when I started getting motivated about exercise and stuff like that. And that just, from then it just kind of steamrolled. I've always been active, in my younger days, but that was the workplace injury that kind of moved me to just make sure. And I said, I'm bound to turn. I'm going skiing. Like I'm going to go
Nice.
skiing, and I, some of the things too. And I was going back to work. They said, well, you're never going to be a millwright again.
Really?
I said, well, that's all I know how to do. And they said, okay, you go into the tool crib. And I went in the tool crib, but I couldn't sit there. I needed to keep busy.
Right.
So I actually went back and got retested, and so I could be a millwright again. And they
Right.
would tell me, oh, you can't. I said, there's people that get around, they have no legs. One leg, they have a perfectly, you can't tell me I can't be a millwright because I have a bum leg.
Right.
And so I just never used that as an excuse. So it's
Good for you.
That's just kind of what motivated me.
Okay. So, Phil, you want to tell us how great Gary is?
You don't have that much time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'd like to thank both of you here for having us out here as a guest to, your home and to show us your cherished project here.
Yes.
What a great. I'm gonna get emotional here. It's such a great thing, to do for your dad, your good friend, and I can't think of a better reason to kind of stay motivated on a project like that. And I do hope that you guys get things completed so that you can do what you want to do it in a short amount of time. So I want to thank you very much for your time, and I want to thank my viewers for tuning into us as well. You heard from Gary as well, you know, what motivates him, and some really good words of advice, actually. The same thing that I've been reiterating on the channel since I started it. Just get off the couch, try something, do something new, make mistakes, just stay motivated to do something. So,
But there's one thing.
yeah,
Let me interrupt you for 1 second.
absolutely.
You have to have somebody to motivate you. Okay? If you don't have that other person to put that motivation into you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can walk out in that garage and spend 12 hours and do absolutely nothing.
And you're by yourself too,
That's right.
right?
You don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that little push.
Right, right.
And that's where I come into the picture. I come in and make him work, and make him get motivated, make him go on
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
get
Well,
him
it's-
interested again.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, you get two minds when you get jammed
Yeah.
up. You know, it's
Yeah,
just like
for
work
sure.
when you get jammed up.
Yeah,
and
you just
have
need another perspective.
Another
idea.
perspective.
Exactly.
It just
That's all
Yeah,
it
yeah.
takes. That things just keep rolling along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
Phil,
It's hard to do.
I appreciate the comment, because like I too, like I've got friends that I reach out to at times, because I know that they're sitting around doing nothing. So
Right.
so we, as just liaisons to helping other people, you know, stay focused and to get connected, stay connected with
Yes.
one another.
Yep.
That's a very good point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Really, I'm hearing that for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Does anybody else got anything to say to
No,
wrap
just
up?
thanks for coming out. And,
Yeah. Thanks a lot. That was pretty cool.
All right.
and
Cool.
hopefully,
Looking forward to seeing
we're,
what I look like on TV. If
And with that, we'll
next
wrap
time
up.
we'll doctor you up a little bit.
how's my hair? No.
We'll see you at the next one. Okay.
Right on.